Now look, I know, obviously, as I've always been saying for years, that Reddit is an app for white supremacists in the left and the right, especially the ones in the left, the covert and subconscious racist white savior liberals, and also child molesters. And even people like other sexual stuff going on that commonly revolves around hurting people or themselves. Like, I know that the person who made this post is probably 10 out of 10 in Chomo, unfortunately. But still, though, just the post that they're sharing goes into something that I've been talking about the past day or two or something. And it really is a strategic agenda to get people, especially younger people, who are around the same age, to be scared of talking to each other and to instead talk to people who actually are pedophiles. I actually had somebody tell me that they were in the Cash for Kids system in different little trafficking situations as well, and that, to be honest, just like I was already saying pretty much, they were in the Cash for Kids system in whatever trafficking situations as well. Theirs sounded worse than mine, but their abusers were always telling them or making them feel like they were a pedophile for wanting to befriend, date, or even just talk to people around their age as well. And like I was already saying, the people that I know have been through similar things, and they pretty much are just like in a perpetual victim state, and they're victims in denial. And like I was saying in the two videos, they pretty much just feel like I have to not be the bad guy, so instead I'm just gonna not date people my age, and I'm just gonna date people who are way too old for me. And I mean, of course they're doing it for other reasons revolving around low self-esteem, sex addiction, neglect, different things like that. But especially in this complex that I'm just gonna call the, I don't know, Gerontophiles, if I'm saying it right, or the good guys complex, they like had this idea that they can't like people their age or even a little younger than them, or even just like a year or 3 older than them, because they're going to be the bad guy. And like I showed in those messages, hearing somebody that's always dating full-blown child molesters who are usually 40 or older talking about maturity and the different maturity levels is honestly insane. And people could say whatever they want to say, but if you want to be honest, 1 to 3 years isn't even an age gap. Like, when people say age gap, they typically are trying to downplay something crazy, which is well over 3 years. And I noticed that the only people that actually see anything wrong with the 1 to 3 age gaps with younger people, they only date people way older than them, and that's all they've ever done. And it's because they can't get with somebody their age, or they feel like they're too mature for it. And I really feel like, I may have said this before, I'm pretty sure I did in the last video or maybe the part 1, but typically when they say I feel like I'm too mature for somebody my age, they know that that's not true, and they know that they're actually well behind people their age. And I'm not saying it to be rude, obviously I am too, but they'll even often admit, I still feel like I'm a teenager, and the trauma this and this and that and that, this, that. And another big thing with like all these different little desperation issues that I talk about often is that overall, these people cannot handle being alone, and that's why they just can't stop. And some of them were like brought into this lifestyle, and they fell in the addiction of constantly being with older people, and I don't know. It's very unfortunate. Me personally, 1, I'm not desperate enough for any of it. I'm not trying to like victim blame. I'm always going to say this, I'm really not. But I mean, the thing is, nobody really gives a crap about the next person all too much. Therefore, whatever situation you're in, unfortunately, you're going to have to find a way to get yourself out of it, or to avoid getting in certain cycles in the first place. And some people are forced in, so there's that as well. And even then, I mean, that makes it even harder to get out. But the thing is, we all have to save ourselves until we save each other. So whatever situation you're in, especially if you actually have a choice over and you're not like chained to a table or something, you're gonna have to get yourself out. And to be fair, it shouldn't be like that, but that's just how society is. But anyways, what I was saying was, I think I was about to say that I'm not desperate enough for it, but I really get mad too easily for a lot of the mind games that these types of abusers play, and I just couldn't go for it. I couldn't have somebody like yelling at me and calling me a child whenever they get mad, but then any other time I'm a grown woman, like no, definitely not. And I plan on making a video about predatory people. So, of course the Chomos, but I'm really gonna mostly be focusing on Let Me Help You Lunatics. And sometimes Chomos are Let Me Help You Lunatics, although Let Me Help You Lunatics are typically women, toxic women. But scammers, I think that's mostly it. Different little people that offer help or quote unquote help that you commonly didn't even ask for and don't want, that they can't give. Like if you ever watched voodoo cult lady videos I had, maybe more so, I may need to like re-upload the evidence channel videos from me actually explaining the voodoo cult lady situation. At least I think I actually did that. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I did. But it was a situation that the cops had forced me into, and some other Let Me Help You Lunatic people. And it was pretty much, if you don't go get quote unquote help, then we're gonna lock you up and send you home. And of course I still ended up getting locked up and sent home anyways. And that was the first time I tried to escape because I wasn't able to like get out of that area and like be somewhere where I wasn't visible and all that. So too many Let Me Help You Lunatic type people started to pile up, and that went how that went. But I do still have the part 1 of the voodoo cult lady situation re-uploaded, if anybody even wants to see that, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie though, I feel like the voodoo cult lady situation was the least worst Let Me Help You Lunatic situation that I've ever been pushed into. But anywho, it's really all the same thing when it boils down, and it's all annoying. And these are the same people that get on videos and comment sections and wherever else and say things like, people in this situation or that situation don't really want help. Or like with homeless people. This is a better example that may make more sense. In fact, no. The Chomo priest in Santa Cruz that would come out once in a blue moon to give out bread, expired bread, with some lady. Well, usually he was by himself. And he thinks I'm 13, and so he'd be like, you're a beautiful 13-year-old. And eventually, all that little bullcrap happened. And he tried to do the little usual manipulation thing where he's like, you can still be helped because you're not on drugs yet. And why is it always a yet? But I'm not even going to go into the whole thing with the drug issues and how that's really the racial and cultural issue. But anywho, he was like, you can still be helped. And pretty much, if I become his moving sex slave, then that's quote unquote help. And since of course I'm not about to go for something like that, and I don't even know why I would or why I would need to, then he did the usual thing that people always say, which is that you're just not ready for change yet, and you just don't want to fix your situation and fix your life, and you just don't want better for yourself, and you're just all the different stuff that people say all the time about homeless people especially. But yeah, he'd be like, you're a beautiful 13-year-old and you're adorable, and I'm not going to let you drag me into your lust with your prostitution that didn't exist. And even though you're trying to seduce me, I'm not going to let you because I ought to have more self-control than that. And somewhere I have the Kundalini cult video where I also go into how you shouldn't trust any religious organization on the West Coast, which with the coming earthquake, tsunami stuff, they won't be there too much longer anyways, but I wouldn't trust any of them. Well, you shouldn't. I mean, I don't go to any, to be honest, but just definitely don't trust those ones. And if it's not like a Kundalini cult situation, It's of course either pagan Roman Catholic or it's ran by like serpent seed fake you know what euros. So okay, I have no idea how to explain this or how to say this. So this is either gonna make no sense or it is gonna make some sense, but I know like most of the things that I talk about, people have no idea what I'm talking about anyway, so it probably all sounds crazy to majority of people. But if you know, you know. But this definitely may be hard to explain. So, when I think about it, I think about how like the best lies have little bits of the truth sprinkled in there. And so, like the Chomo people, they're able to like use the truth and flip that around for their bullcrap. Kind of like just how Chomos use the youth rights movement in general to push SA. Like they use the good arguments, like the whole thing about how the brain doesn't finish developing till 25, how that's bull crappy, and how it's just another excuse to keep younger people in bad situations, which is still funny though, because I mean you go through so much ageism really till you're like deep into your 30s. But anywho, they're not wrong with that when they say that younger people should have more rights so they can't like be tortured by parents or whatever guardians. They're not wrong about that. It's all true, but they still use it and flip it around to push Chomo stuff. So pretty much your kids shouldn't be able to be abused by you, so they should come be abused by me. Or kind of like some of the things that LT Corbus was saying in the re-uploads of her videos that I did. And I'm not even gonna lie, I like to re-upload more of her videos, which I've still been meaning to make a video about the truth behind the whole LT Corbus situation. It is pretty obvious now that she definitely wasn't an industry plant or anything, because if she was, she wouldn't have got banned, she wouldn't have got kicked out of school, and she would still be relevant and not hated by most of the people who do remember her. But I will say though, she's obviously Swedish, so she could still be serpent. But with the way that she spoke against the serpent seed, she could just be a regular Swedish person who's not like identifying as a Northeast African. Because people can identify as whatever they want, including Afro-Asiatic people, and they can run around Africa dying of melanoma while being Swedish, Russian, and German, and Irish. Because that's just how the world is. And truth is stranger than fiction. But I have to go off on like a side tangent, which I guess I've already been doing. So it makes me think of how like this one dude was like I'd rather be abused by family than going to CPS and be abused by people I don't even know. Kind of irrelevant, but it makes me think about that. But now I gotta start like zooming through some stuff. So I'm expected to cut contact to my brother and his friends. Oh yeah, another thing I completely forgot. As I always say, which this can be very wishy-washy, although since I've never been desperate enough for it, I've never done the Chomo thing, but I have like had issues with like other toxic people, but not the Chomo thing. So, due to my situations throughout my life, I've never really been around people my age that much. I'm always around older people, still now, and I usually talk to people who are older. And it's like when people say things like this, it even gives like the idea that everything has to be sexual, and that alone is really weird. In fact, when I would even make advances towards these people due to like mommy daddy issues, they would step away and set boundaries. So yeah. And also, when people aren't predatory, stepping away and setting boundaries, or even if like that doesn't happen but they just feel like someone's too young, even if the person is 18 or 20, if they feel like the person is too young and like weird things are happening, they're still gonna of course set boundaries and just leave the situation. So to all you people that are saying, well, it's good because he, she him, they, we, it, Santa Claus waited till I was 18, or they waited till I was 20, or they waited till I was 25, and they want me to help them raise money to get into a nursing home. It still doesn't make a difference because the medical insurance is cut. So now he has me making OnlyFans to help him get into the nursing home. And yes, I am laughing at my own jokes, as usual, throughout my life for well over 10 years now. Someone talking about how mommy-daddy issues are normalized and how, of course, as I mentioned before, just neglect can lead to different sexual issues, or just like whatever parenting issues, and then like you're looking for love from men or women, or you just don't know how to show your emotions without flirting with people. Another reminder that whoopings are essay. I saw this and it makes a lot of sense. I may have already accidentally deleted the original post, but I'm pretty sure this was a post where somebody was like, I'm 27 and happily married or in a relationship, and I wouldn't even talk to anyone younger than 27. I wouldn't even talk to a 25-year-old. But another thing though is that why does it even have to be sexual, especially if you say you're already in a happy relationship? I don't know when this agenda of people being shamed or made to feel like it's horrible to talk to people their age started, but it really needs to stop. And I really feel like Gerontophiles, or whatever in the world it's called, are pushing this more than even Chomos are, really. Like, the people who get with Chomos seem to be pushing this more than Chomos are. Or at least with my experiences on a daily basis, especially for the past 3 years. That's what it seems like for me. But I mean, like I already said, or at least I think I did, I have had someone tell me that their abusers were the ones that were making them feel bad for liking people around their age. So, and I think that one of the things that these Gerontophile people seem to not get is that only talking to people who are older than you or way older than you, aside from like the abusive side, I don't even mean like the sexual side, it causes like more issues that make it harder for you to like talk to people who are actually your age. Then, like I mentioned in the last videos, I had someone try to make me feel bad for talking to people my exact same age, even older than me, because they were still in school. And it's like, so, I don't know. And now to think about it, only women do this. I've never had any dudes say stuff like this to me. That's also really interesting. It seems like a lot of these weird little complexes only women have. From the Let Me Help You Lunatic, that's mostly women, to the whole Gerontophile thing. But when I just so happen to come across posts that talk about similar things, I do see guys saying things like this. Of course, all Americans, definitely, but even like guys who are teens. But I really feel like one of the things, especially with guys, is that they don't want to be seen as the bad guy, because of course, since they're male, if anybody feels weird about something, they're automatically going to be the bad guy. So like, if they're like 17 with a 16-year-old, and they're the dude and they're the older one, if people feel some type of way, they're going to be the bad guy. So it makes sense that they would like push this agenda too, just to not look like the weird one. And then there's also people that say that they've never even heard of people feeling like a 1 to 3 year age gap is bad. But they must not be American, I guess, I don't know. A legal adult with full rights doesn't want to interact with another legal adult with full rights that's a mere 3 years younger. So now the 27 is the new 25 now. And of course, these are the Chomos. So it's like, I mean, the point is still there, but they're still going to push what they want to push, and they can totally easily use bullcrap narratives like this to push this. And I really feel like that's why these little, I don't know, why the divide and conquer around this is even happening, just to make it easier for Chomos to have an argument. It was 0, it became 18, it became 21, it became 25, it becomes 27. So the whole it was 0. There's that. That's the start off. At that rate, only 100-year-olds will be adults. But they're not wrong there, because that is what people are acting like. And I still feel like, even when they openly admit that they're doing away with the age of consent, they would still make probably 100 the legal age to be an adult. So, like it already is, you'd be in this age your entire life, and you still wouldn't have rights till you're almost dead, or you are dead. But I guess that maybe depends on how long you survive. If that's the case, even if one were lucky to live another 10 years to enjoy adulthood, it'd suck because we know living to 110 is probably no fun and not likely. And another thing too, as of right now, like I was kind of talking about in the last video or two, really the way it works is that even with the bullcrap laws that they claim are in place now with the 18 or 14 being the age of consent, whether somebody actually gets charged or goes to jail, which is very unlikely, for doing whatever to you, depends on if somebody who's way older than you, who's a guardian, actually will take the person to court or not and actually fight for something to happen. And typically, you're going to be abused by somebody who's related to you anyways. So the whole stranger danger bullcrap is bullcrap. And as far as a teacher doing something, your parents are the ones who send you to school. Obviously they don't send you to school for that to happen. But people, especially with these daycares are ran by the Levite Luciferians. So people, I don't know, it just sucks because if the family system wasn't broken, you'd have somebody to watch your kids and you wouldn't have to send your kids to random people anyways. But anywho, it's really about what your parents decide. Other than that, nothing's going to happen anyways, even if you are below the age of consent, whatever that really is or really means, depending on the day. And lawyers and judges aren't going to charge their own anyways. They don't want to, so it's still going to be up in there, even if your parents do say something. But definitely, if you don't have a guardian to actually take these people to court, nothing will happen regardless. And I even know somebody where the one time their family did actually care enough to take one of their abusers to jail because this one was quote-unquote black and all the other ones till this very day are all quote-unquote white. And so the one black one that they actually took to court, he still got out because he's quote-unquote autistic. And the thing about it is that if these people weren't abusing and neglecting their relative, none of this stuff would even be happening anyway, still to this day. And the funny thing is, to summarize, the person's now, I guess I could say, adoptive dad is more focused on making them watch the Hodge twins and trying to abuse them into being racist instead of stopping people from essaying his quote-unquote adoptive daughter, because really one of the big things with situations like this, though, is that when people just feel like they're taking you in so that way you're not on the street, you're in foster care, but they know that you're not their kid and they could care less to treat you like a kid or to even have a kid, and they're just housing you. Of course they're not going to care about jack you have going on. But with how families are, the real relatives don't either. So I guess it doesn't even really matter. But it's just a really interesting situation. Anywho, I'm that guy who compared lowly kind, I don't even know what all I can and can't say, to pedo, because it's literally the same word. And if anybody remembers the whole Balenciaga thing that was quickly swept under the rug that nobody remembers anymore, just like everything else, I guess maybe due to what do they call it, the Mandela effect, and I guess memory wiping. The campaign, during that, people were saying that they zoomed into some papers that were on a table, and it was talking about the legalization of animated CP, which I don't even like that term, really. I would say CSA imagery, but I don't believe in any of that stuff. I would say all of it is people abuse imagery. And the weird thing about it is that animated CSA imagery has been legal for forever, so I don't even really get what the campaign really was going for, but if I remember right, I think people may have said that the documents were like kind of old, but I don't know. It's just very interesting because it was already legal. Like, I've seen people find it who unfortunately fell into sex addiction, and they'll make posts and they'll be like, where can I report this to? And then they'll be told, unfortunately, this is actually all legal. In fact, people don't want to say it, but that's what that anime stuff was all about. Like, I noticed that anime always has some weird stuff going on. Like, the fact that cartoons that commonly revolve around CSA are so promoted to children and youth is just like really interesting. And I'm not saying that like the American stuff is any better, but like anime always has some weird mess. If you could even still find it anywhere, because I haven't watched TV since I was like 10, maybe even younger than that. Watch Kotori-san or Kotori-san, whatever in the world. Like, the whole show is about a girl who was definitely anointed or prophetic, who could see the future and read minds, I'm pretty sure. And her mom never liked her. Her mom would abuse her. Her classmates didn't like her. It's very flashbacky, especially at that time even. Not gonna go into that. But anywho, nobody liked her, and so something happened. She ended up moving in with her grandpa, and her grandpa was a straight up Chomo, and she could read her grandpa's mind and her friend's mind, who was some boy who was in love with her, and they were like, they being the boyfriend, well, I guess I don't even know. Him and the grandpa would make jokes about essaying her, and the grandpa was always thinking about essaying her, and she could always see it because she could read his mind, and it's like, who in the world here? Actually, my older neighbor's sister had came across it too when she was younger, and she stopped watching it real quick as well. Because it's like, just too much mess was happening. And you know, it sucks to even come across bullcrap like that when you already are messed up in the head and have all types of issues. Because it doesn't help. It really doesn't. And that was on Netflix, of course. Jumping off into something irrelevant again, though. And my older neighbor's sister. It is very interesting that, like, enablers, flying monkeys, and other abusers can care about the abuse of other people or even non-existent people that are fictional, but they don't care about the abuse of themselves or their relatives or even like the abuse of people that they're helping abuse. So yeah, that's interesting. I actually had somebody that was making up excuses for their own abuser tell me that it's because people aren't all good or all bad, but that's bullcrap. Lolicon is slang made up of lowly, child, and kind, love, so child love. What does Chomo mean? Same thing. PDF is ancient Greek, of course, for child. Philia is ancient Greek, of course, for love. Lolicon is smut of children. Even though it's legal, the people who like are part of these groups, because they typically have like groups, they do try to keep it hidden on like hidden web. So they do try to have it behind a paywall, or like it's mostly free, and then some's behind a paywall. And a big part of why is because like they want to keep their comments that they have with each other quiet. And like if you ever go to really any corn site, you know you'll always see people say, this is just like what my grandpa did to me, and my uncle did this to me, and my grandpa taught me how to love a man, or whatever in the world, and my mom did this, and this happened here, and this is what I do to my grandkids, stuff like that. Or my teacher did this, my neighbor did that, and I never told anybody. It really just shows how the cycle keeps going. Actual prepubescent children, even if it's just a drawing, it's still abhorrent. Same as drawings of SA and red rum made purely for arousal and without some artistic reason. And when they say that, people like, so much occultic and demonic stuff is covered up with people saying it's artistic. But I can assume that maybe they mean like, I don't know, somebody writing a book about some bad occurrences that happen to whoever, or just like, I don't know, to spread awareness, or maybe I can't really think of anything else. These crazy horror movies. The sub is about giving youth more rights like voting and bodily autonomy, not protecting the weirdos. Had to repost it to Imgur because Reddit marked my post as spam again. Essay and red rum is a much more terrible crime than child love itself, in my belief. How did that verse go? It was definitely in the Old Testament, maybe even Genesis. The point in time where every man did what was right in his own heart. This is what happens when foundations are destroyed for rituals, demonic rituals, and people just have their own book of belief to the side that they pull out, and everyone's just doing whatever they want as long as they're not hurting anybody. And people say that all the time for everything, but they're still hurting themselves. And really, they're just hurting people and themselves, but they don't see it as that, so in their mind it's not hurting anybody, so it's okay. But the thing is, though, when morals are taken away and people don't even understand the actual ritual behind this stuff, or the ritual that sex is supposed to be, or the ritual that a lot of things are, even when it comes to other types of abuse and stuff, I mean, of course people are going to be like, well, I don't see anything wrong with it, because, I mean, they don't see the ramifications behind it. But I will say, though, as somebody who was very demon possessed and had all types of sexual issues from sex addiction when I was elementary age, really more so from like 3 to 10, I can say that when you have these types of issues, like different sexual issues, you don't really, how could I put it? You don't really care much about how other people feel, although I know I could say it's not even really that I didn't care. In my mind, which is probably even different from like these people's mind, I didn't see why people didn't want my love and affection and didn't want me to show them a good time, and I didn't understand why they didn't like it, because in my mind I would like it, and I would like for somebody to spend time with me, so I didn't understand why they didn't like it. But I can say the more I have different encounters with Chomos myself, every other day or maybe every day, I actually see more things that were wrong with different things I used to say and do to people. So I can actually see now more and more why people wouldn't like things that I would do and say. Because like really, if you actually love or care about somebody, you're gonna like not do stuff to them that they don't want you to do, and not say things to them. And also just like throwing sexual remarks around really means that you just see people as like an object, and that you don't actually care about them, even if you think that that's caring and that it's just a compliment. And I notice like a lot of these messed up sexual people see like the craziest things as compliments. Like I had some rapper dude who owns a podcast who wanted to jerk off while looking at me tell me that my arms were hairy like his, and it was a compliment. And it's like, it makes me think back to this saying that people have, which is that if a boy is mean to you, then he likes you. And it's like, although this dude was on like 40, but still. And while I don't do any of that stuff anymore, I could still say that just like due to neglect and abuse, I really don't know how to show emotions in any good way. And people like, I guess maybe a lot of things seem like flirting to certain people that I do. I don't even know if that came out right. But yeah, so there's that. But what I learned really, really young, though, is that the things that you do on accident that you see nothing wrong with, or the bad things you do on accident, can even be worse than the bad things you do on purpose, because you just don't see anything wrong with it. Like, one thing that helps me a lot is maybe not even thinking about if I was in, like, that person's shoes, because sometimes that doesn't even help. But, like, thinking, would I want somebody to do this to my siblings? Or whoever in the world, or would I want somebody to do this to, I don't know, like a neighbor, or like somebody I know walking down the street, or well, I guess maybe I wouldn't know them, but yeah, that helps me more, because like I can't even always really think about things and like if it happened to me, because If you're screwed up in the head, you may like certain things or think you will like certain things to happen to you, which is a big part of why, due to the sex demons and stuff, people fall into these cycles of like thinking that they want something they really don't. Then when it happens, they really don't like it and don't want it. Then they have trauma after. They think that they liked it, but then they're having flashbacks and shaking after, and they don't even know why, because in their mind they liked it, but it's still a ritual. And typically that's due to like marine spirits, spirit spouses, lust spirits, predatory spirits, or the predator spirit, and those different little demons that give you demonic arousal, which can make you feel like you want or ready for anything that you really don't want. But it's just like in the moment, it can make it seem like you do. But also, what else was it? Arousal is contagious, or it can be, or really the arousal demon is contagious, which is actually how, or one way that, seduction works. Because like the person looks you in your eyes and then you get aroused, but it's actually demonic, it's witchcraft. But yeah, lowly doesn't mean child, kind doesn't mean love. It's Japanese, and they often take the first syllable or two of a word and mash them together. Lowly is actually derived from lolakind and not the other way around. And I'm not gonna lie, last time I checked, it definitely did mean child love. This is probably some bull crap, but oh well, because people are always gonna try to like downplay bull crap. In fact, no, because if I remember I'm right, back in like the 60s or even before, because actually CSA imagery used to be like very open. It used to be on TV all the time. Like it's only very recent that people have started to like put these things behind the curtain just to bring them back out. I mean, there was what was her name? Shirley Temple and the baby burlesque, something that was weird. Some weird, I think it was French, some European language, burlesque, something. But anywho, like these different little movies and shows that were all about quote unquote hot babies, whatever that means. Point is, there was some movie, I'm pretty sure, a long time ago, and it was either European or American, so I guess European, and it was called like Lolita or something, Little Lolita, something like that, My Lolita, I don't know. And I think that's the origin of a lot of this stuff. I keep forgetting where I'm at, but Lolakind is actually short for Lolita Complex, as in Lolita. The book about the one guy who couldn't keep his hands to himself. That's like saying cis-kind. I'm not gonna lie though, the first thing that came to my mind was cis-kind, but that would probably still be less worse, but still not good, but kind of like a comic comment. His sister love. I'm not gonna lie, I've never one day in my entire life or throughout all the years of addiction heard the word cis-kind. But I'm not gonna lie, I've probably seen worse than cis-kind on regular TV in the past. I just can't though, just like it makes me think about comic-kind, but the cis makes me think about scissors, so it's like, that would be horrible, but I mean, there's the raves in Slab City where people supposedly pee on each other, so I mean, I guess, you know, there's a lot of cis-kinds out there. It kind of is, but it stands for sister complex. Sister complex. That sounds like a psychological term. But like lately, for months now, I've just been thinking about that old song, What Does Love Have to Do with It? And that's what I could say here. I'm trying to like regather my thoughts. And it's for people who want to F their sisters, usually the younger ones. Yeah. Crazy that this is a hot take and being downvoted. This sub is full of pedophiles. And that's the reality. And the thing is, lust is never satisfied. That's why you see they go from children, teens, people in their 20s as they get older. I mean, it could keep going, really. It could go up. I mean, if you're 30, they're 30, and you're just too old for them. It could keep going. But then, of course, then animals, then other dudes, and what else? The cist kind thing. This sub is full of people who know how to separate fiction from reality. Doesn't matter how gross something is, fictional work should never be censored. But what does love have to do with it? What does youth rights have to do with any of this? That's the thing. It's like they come to youth rights to force sexuality onto youth or whoever they can, really. And it's like, what does sister complex have to do with like younger people in the US not being able to get alcohol? Or that's kind of like the last thing to really worry about, but I mean, that's also stupid. But more so, youth not being able to get out of bad situations and not being able to like get a job, whatever in the world, or at least they can't get a job anymore. They used to be able to. And it's scary, especially how liberal kids or kids raised in liberal areas see nothing wrong with like these messed up, screwed up older people coming and dragging them into stuff and telling them this is a safe space and we're gonna tell you about sister complexes. Like, I don't even know. That's some bullcrap that I'm just gonna have to forget about. I probably will though, as much as like I forget about everything due to dissociation. Not even due to trauma, but due to metabolic issues. So I'll probably forget about it tomorrow, hopefully. I've actually used these screenshots in a couple of videos recently, but I'm now realizing that I never really read the screenshots because, you seeing nothing wrong with why older people are fighting about how the age to watch porn, which shouldn't exist, shouldn't be raised to 25 or 21, and you shouldn't be ID'd to get onto it. Which that actually has nothing to do with age. Really what it is with the abuse system coming out, they want to push the digital ID and they want to be able to know who's seeing what, who's doing what. Not even really because they necessarily care who's watching porn, although they will like hold that over your head and use it to embarrass you in the future. Like I remember Pastor Stephen Darby talked about years ago how every time you go onto a porn website, they actually take a picture of you with your front camera or whatever in the world. So realistically, none of this ID stuff has anything to do with age or caring about who's watching what and what's happening to younger people. Like their parents should be worrying about what's happening to them. Not that I'm really for like a whole bunch of technology use anyways. It's just a way to neglect somebody and to get them out of your face when you like throw a phone at them, maybe literally. What the F is happening? Like, why am I seeing people in this subreddit suddenly saying drawings are literally illegal or pears are evil? And I feel like they're talking about me. This was like a little bit after I got banned. Well, no, this was like a little while after I got banned. But anywho, just because some pornographic drawings are illegal in some jurisdictions doesn't mean it's illegal. I could care less about laws, to be honest, or unethical in general. Same with pears, except they get targeted by cops. Since when, actually, now to think about it? Cops are probably the ones making these sites. I literally just saw some guy compare lolicon to Chomoism. Here, acting like it's the same as wanting to abuse kids. Okay. But 2 weeks ago, I saw people being supportive of drawings and paraphilias. What the F is happening? I'm also getting downvoted over this too. I know it's Reddit, but I'm here to speak up for youth and call out on ageism towards youth as well. Not to see people take the moral high ground over paraphilias and drawings. If this continues happening, I'll just avoid the subreddit and leave until everyone gets their crap together. I honestly don't know if a group of people is trying to blend in and target us or there's glories lurking here, but it's whatever. I still have no idea what glories mean, but I don't really think I want to know, but I feel like what I think it means wouldn't really make sense in this context, so I don't know. I'm not gonna lie though, it really sucks like how youth rights has went from youth trying to like get away from abuse to the abusers taking over youth rights. Like I'm trying to think. It's kind of like a coup, like a government coup. Like, And youth rights already wasn't getting anywhere by design, but of course the Chomos always are. But I guess at this point I can just call them Thelemites because they're into everything. It looks like this subreddit is going through a phase of stupidity all over again. I remember arguing with some dude here who was really misogynistic, but he got suspended afterwards, of course. I wonder what he was saying that was quote-unquote misogynistic. I also remember when there was some person here bragging about how Europe is better than America, when I came across Europeans who were ageist as well. Pretty sure, well, I mean, maybe they mean like how in the UK you can leave home at 16, or how in most countries but America you can drink at 16 or younger. Pretty sure they called the Americans the Middle East and Indians the ageist triad, which is extremely stupid and weird as heck to me because I never came across an Indian or Middle Eastern who was ageist unless they engage in online communities. I don't know, with most of the people on this sub, I can't really trust that because I know in the Middle East, or whatever that really means, that bullcrap made up term, in India, there's a lot of Chomoism there as well. And of course in the Middle East, quote unquote, they have this like game that they play where they're like anti-gay, but I mean it's more so even about the Chomoism than like them supposedly not being gay, but they say that they just like young girls, but they actually like young guys too, but they just like hide it from the public. They also like older dudes, but they like pretty much like younger people, well really children. Like I don't even really think I've seen like a teenage marriage. I've just seen like literal children marriages. Kind of like a story I mentioned before, like how if a family is Christian, or like if a young boy who's like 8 or younger, whatever in the world, is Christian, or I guess like I say in Messianic Yahudaism more so, they'll kidnap the boy and essay him and traffic him. So yeah. And the fact that like the people in the suburb, how they are, and they're trying to say that the Middle East, quote unquote, in India isn't ageist, I beg to differ. Sadly, a lot of reactionaries in this movement, and it's how second wave youth lib died after ASFAR left, and I don't know who or what that is. I have a question. Does it count as corruption of a minor if a teenager reads an NSFW fanfic written by an adult? No, any adult who says that puritanical as heck. I don't know what that word means, not gonna lie. I meant to Google it, but I kept forgetting. I'm not in the US, so I'm sure the definition is sexual intercourse with a minor, not a minor reading a smut written by an adult. If a teen deliberately clicked on an NSFW post, it's clearly not the fault of the adult that wrote it. Do you blame the corn actors because teens watch their videos? I don't think so. It's the same here. Glowies, not glories. I don't know what that means either. I was just thinking about reading some of these comments under like the scary music that you hear playing in the background of a game when like you're about to fight the boss, or what do they call it, boss mode, or you're just like running from the person or the monster or whatever. What are glowies? Edit, I know now. The term 4chan uses. I have to agree. Generally, it's my opinion that we shouldn't butt our heads into other people's love. This is different from abuse. I don't support abuse. I support people thinking that they want it for whatever reason, and me hurting people because I like it and I get something out of it. And I never will, but I will support age gaps and other people's love. And of course, the age gap is going to be something crazy because, like I said, really, 1 to 3 years is not an age gap. When people say age gap, it's really a term used to downplay very not good things. And then the love, I mean, that's going to be some bull crap. the whole Caesar Borgia hippie nature sex cult, what else? Nordic plebeian, Cupid pedophile, Pied Piper pan worship, Nero servitude, I could keep going. Also, I would be more worried about the moderators because they seem to be removing these types of posts without clarification. Without clarification. You're literally going off on rants about the Lemite bullcrap in a group for youth rights as if it's like some type of, I don't know, sex group or something. Like, the post wouldn't have anything to do with the group even if a younger person made the post, which if they did, they're being groomed anyways, but still. This is a scary thing about no morale, European philosophies, and just the issues in America. PDFism is normalized everywhere. There is no civilization where it hasn't been and isn't normalized. But America is going to be the worst place for it. I mean, it's already the epicenter. America is the #1 place in demand for children and people in general for trafficking. And by the way, there are more types of trafficking than just like sex traf. I mean, that's the one people talk about, which is so funny because people always talk about it, but still claim it doesn't happen and don't believe in it. But that's not the only type. There's so much other stuff going on, but it all ties together. I mean, you could get kidnapped and forced to like work on a farm. You could get kidnapped and sacrificed for some racial ritual. You could get kidnapped and used for, I don't know, some cloning experiment or something. And most of it is very out in the open. I mean, go to your local medical center or university or Harvard. And most traf victims don't even know that they're a victim of traf. You could be one and not even know it. And another thing is that there isn't like a certain age or gender that people are looking for. I mean, for certain things, yeah, but overall, they're looking for everybody. So if you're like a buff 40-year-old dude, you're on somebody's radar for something. I talked about this in the last video. Obviously, Drake is cheating on Lil Wayne. Research Birdman if you want to know how Lil Wayne got where he did by 10 really. More so 12 because that's when he tried to, how could I say it, hoop himself in the chest at 12 because I try to avoid certain words. And the police saved his life, which actually, he talked about this in the video where he was saying why he doesn't believe racism is a thing because some cops saved his life when he tried to take himself out at 12. But the whole do I believe in racism video is a watered down version of the story, obviously. And then this screenshot. Gerontophiles are people that are stuck in this cycle of victimhood. They don't have accountability. They don't want anybody to like say anything about what they're doing or tell them to stop doing what they're doing and like find other coping mechanisms. But they also, like, especially in my situation, when they want to project what they chase onto you, they don't want you to say anything about what they're chasing and what they're doing in the actual chomos that they love to talk to all the time. And I still have to say, hearing people that are always the people who are way too old for them and are always dating chomos talk about maturity levels and what's the other terms? Maturity levels, what do they call it? Phase of life? Mindset? Or stage of life. Just like when I mentioned the whole situation with my mom and older neighbor sister and other people, and especially the situation with the 21-year-old and the 17-year-old, and about them being in the same stage of life, that whole situation. Which actually, I think I only mentioned that in the childhood paraphilias video, whatever I titled it, or dating for orphans, I don't know, but hearing people that are always in these types of situations talk about things like maturity levels is really absurd because they obviously know nothing about a maturity level. It seems like in their mind, as long as you're not dating somebody your age or younger, and yeah, as long as you're not doing that, it's okay. But it's like, I mean, what about the maturity level between you and the person, I don't know, 4, 6, 10, 20, 30 years older than you or more? And like I said, the whole minor thing and maturity level thing, which the minor part isn't even really in the picture, because people will do this with somebody of any age. They'll be like, well, they're 16 and they graduated already, and you're 16 and you haven't, so they're a PDF. They don't even have to be 18 plus yet. But the whole maturity level thing could be flipped either way. Somebody could be like, well, we're in the same phase of life, we're both in college, we're both in the same grade, but I don't know, I got held back 19 times, so it's whatever. People could still use that. The anti-youth lib crowd is straw manning me again. I hate when these types of people even bring up the straw man fallacy. It's always used as like a manipulation tactic. I was gonna defend and educate LP on prt3 and Chomo /maps in this subreddit. Here on my throwaway account, why throwaway, since others are doing it too. And I did similarly on our pro shipping. I didn't get what that meant at first. I was thinking like shipping something in the mail, but I remember now this term that people used to use really to like target people who were in abusive relationships and be like, ship and get back together and let him punch your eye out again, before it became an echo chamber. But after seeing some comments on this post and other posts on this subreddit, I think I'm gonna refrain from posting about them for now. You need to refrain from a lot of things. You support in real life, why is fake better, but in real life incest and use youth rights as a way to support in real life Chomoism, not just fictional Chomoism. What is fictional Chomoism? Realistically, I would say at least with like same-sex attraction, without sex there is no sexuality. But I feel like still at the end of the day, everything really starts in the head, and especially with like essay and Chomoism, that starting in the head and staying in the head eventually gets out the head and into the bed, or the closet, I guess, or the lunchroom. Well, maybe no. Well, into the children asylum, where all the people that care so much about you and want to help you and blame you for stuff that didn't happen are. You also complain when antis have boundaries, when adults don't want to interact with children, or when children don't want adults interacting with them. Youth rights except if they're antis who talk about the harm the normalization of lowly Shada Chomo fiction has done to them. I don't know what Shada is, but I'm not trying to find out. Also, this person claims to be an SA victim. Why do people who claim to be victims of SA act like youth lib is dangerous? This is so annoying, to be honest. Why are people who are victims of SA telling me that SA is dangerous is what they really mean. They're just enabling predators even further. Left the name uncensored if anyone wants to report them, but it's not forced. Maybe I'm confused, but why is it with different predatory people, whether it's like sexual predator or not, they always have this backwards weird projection type way about themselves? And then at the bottom, I noticed the same Chomo guy from the other post, but yeah, I've seen that also as often as I see people weaponizing their own experiences against the rights of others, since they falsely generalize based on it. So their own experiences with people who are Chomos or who are into different Chomo stuff, and they know how those people are and what that stuff is and literally means, and so you feel like their experiences are generalizing you with other people who also are Chomos. It's quite unfortunate, but it's something worth noticing so we can act accordingly to it instead of compromising youth liberation goals for the sake of appeasing its enemies. You're a weird guy. Rage bait filled. Bro, you're trying to co-op youth rights to protect your fetishes. It's not rage bait, you're just weird. I don't know the story, so I can't really say much on this. This is from a post about how ICE and the National Guard and Border Patrol have been in DC scraping up homeless people, and people are saying that they're putting homeless people in vans and doing whatever with them. But I'm focusing on this top comment. Crap's disgusting, and they're trying to lower the age of consent as well. Chomo homewrecker this dude is. He's still just a puppet though, so once they take him out soon and bring in Obama and all the other little people, still in the end, they're going to keep pushing these laws and keep going deeper into the beast system. You're overreacting. You have been pulled into paranoia and anxiety by the internet. Because originally they thought that I was talking about people online, but I was talking about people in real life. You need to stop thinking about age gaps and start talking to actual humans in real life. Which unfortunately, this was real life. Instead of worrying about hypothetical 1-year age gaps you might have if you ever have a friend or date. If you know someone who is underage and dating an older person, you need to report them to your school as an abuse victim instead of pretending it's something to be debated online. You're in a situation where you have only met screwed up people with horrible opinions. You're tired of it because you're trying to make sense of a belief system that is wrong and hurtful. You have no awareness of how normal people behave because you have been surrounded by these people your entire life, and you haven't had the opportunity to learn normal beliefs about friendship and dating. Which I definitely were confused about like some things, but I mean it makes sense. It's all like a long story really that of course I wouldn't even get into, but still their overall point was right. You're stuck cycling through the obsession with age gaps over and over because you have never read anything about healthy relationships between teenagers, so you don't have enough information to realize that this entire debate is bullcrap designed to keep you separated from people close to your own age and thinking about extreme outliers instead of actually going out and making friends. And this is exactly what I was saying a little while ago, is the real agenda of all this. And like I said, I started off with having people like tell me these different little weird things in person, but very recently, like the past, 2-3 days, I've actually realized how common this belief system is through these little bullcrap online posts, mostly by Americans. I hope you can meet some normal people within a few years of your age and have real friendships and relationships where nobody is having angry conversations about age gaps. I'm going to focus more on the point because this is already really long and the backstory would also be really long. Anyway, I really hope you can make friends who didn't grow up in the system and learn to have healthy relationships. Clearly the only form of relationship you have ever witnessed is abuse, and anytime you or the other teens attempted to have age-appropriate relationships with each other, you were gaslit into believing that it was a part of the cycle of abuse that was actually being perpetrated on you by adults. I'm so sorry that you've been through this, and it's really clear that you have a warped view of relationships, and you are surrounded by people who have even worse views of relationships. People your age are not dating senior citizens. They are being abused. If they say they are dating or attracted to those people or identify as gerontophiles, it is because they have been brainwashed by their abusers. Although, I would say, I've never heard anybody really identify as that. I would say the main paraphilia that people really remember the name of is obviously pedo, but still, as people like to commonly point out, that's not even really used right, but I'm not even going to go into that. But that's the main term that people really even know. And they're making up new terms like zoophile and different things like that, but not even that many people know that one. Or at least I guess it depends on where you're at, because that's what the furry stuff is. But anywho, I remember I actually first did research on the gerontophile thing like a long time ago to really know the term for people who are attracted to older people. But I mean, you never hear anybody in these situations, whether they're 18 plus or not, actually use this term. It's always a whole bunch of desperation and looking for somebody to take care of them and different things like that that are tied into it. Like, it's not even always about attraction. Like, both ways it's commonly about leeching off of somebody and like hurting someone, using somebody for something, which I mean, that's what a lot of modern and Western dating or quote unquote dating is anyways. But I mean, the thing about the essay ritual is that you do get different paraphilias from it. And actually the mommy-daddy is just an attraction to older people, male or female, isn't even really rooted in essay. It actually originally comes from the neglect. I mean, it could come from essay originally, but for most people, it starts with the neglect and abuse from the parents. And then it goes downhill from there. So, I mean, the attraction is definitely very possible. It's all superficial, really all like different little lust paraphilia stuff is superficial, but it doesn't even have to be like brainwashed into somebody by some older abuser. The older abuser doesn't even have to exist really. Like, there are people that due to their neglect and just like, I don't know, whatever in the world, they're attracted to their teachers. Their teachers have never done anything to them. Their teachers don't even know, but they're like talking about how they want to like manipulate their teacher into getting with them and stuff like that. I knew a girl like that. Although, I mean, there was essay there, but the essay was from like another kid though, still way too old. Because she was like 8 or 9 and he was 14, but the mom was abusive and covert sexually abusive anyway still. And then she had a stepdad, so there's that. But I don't know what happened with her. Her situation was really, really bad, especially because her mom was rich. If you keep finding people your own age who believe that, which I would say really, all the people that have straight up called me a Chomo have definitely been in their 20s. But your own age who believe that, you really need to get out, move to another city or something. I've met these people in so many different places, not gonna lie. It's not healthy to be around people who keep justifying their own status as a victim and claiming that they are a willing participant while falsely accusing you of abuse for literally having normal relationships with people your own age. These people trying to tell you that being attracted to people within 1 to 3 years of your own age is wrong are disgusting and abusing you. If you were over 18, you need to be thinking about how to leave within the month, block these people, and never speak to them again. Under 18, you need to put up walls and avoid these people as much as possible until you can get out. Which, like I said, they were definitely pretty confused about the situation, because honestly, I put myself in it and there's nothing to really get out of but the bull crap I let myself sit in. I have to throw this in here. So I noticed the first sentence of the last paragraph, and it does make me think back to like how some of these people will sometimes admit that they're a victim. And they'll be like, I mean, what's happening to me is wrong. And I mean, it definitely is, but you gotta break off the cycle of getting on Tinder and whatever else and finding these people and sneaking and being around them and stuff. It's a hard cycle to break out of though, definitely, but you gotta be the one to do it. If people are actually like living in your house doing whatever, they're coming around you and your parents are bringing them around, that's a different situation. But if you're in the cycle of actually going out and looking for these people and sneaking to get around them or to bring them around you, you gotta fix that on your own. Because obviously nobody cares and that's why you're in the situation. But while I mean it's always gonna be abuse in the ritual, you're also partaking in the ritual and you gotta be the one to stop, like just find something else to do really. Because there's people out there that are really trapped in these situations and you're like putting yourself in them due to low self-esteem and a lot of stuff you really just got to work through on your own. Because I mean, if you don't fix it now, you're always going to do it. And people already don't care and are going to shame you and they're going to like spread rumors about you in the school, and all the pedo teachers are going to spread rumors about you and spread your viral essay videos, which is a common situation, as I always say. And they're going to try to make you unalive yourself because they don't care, no matter how young you are. You could be in elementary. But that just goes to show that you gotta like find something else to do to make yourself feel better that isn't something that's not good. Because nobody's gonna help you do it, and realistically, you have to be the one to stay off of Tinder. And another thing to keep in mind, as I have a video about, the kid victim is charged with CSA imagery. So you really don't want to get caught up in that type of stuff anyways, because you can get so many crazy charges, no matter how young you are, that are going to have you on the sex offender registry. Because yes, that's what they do. You, the victim, is going to be on the registry, and you're going to have your life screwed up with all these different charges and being on the registry and all this different stuff, even before you're a teenager. And it's not going to lead anywhere good, and it's really unfortunate. But especially if you're actually like going out and finding these people, it's just going to make it worse. And let's be real, trying to get a job and having to like explain why you're on the registry, which I mean a lot of jobs don't care, but it's like with the weird stuff against youth, if you're trying to like get a job or go to a program, you're going to have to explain why you're on the registry. And they're probably not going to want to listen. They may not even ask a question. They may just see that you're on there for CSA imagery, which is stupid. Well, CP, child CP, whatever in the world, which is stupid. And they're not even going to probably say anything to you. They're just going to see it, not hire you, and they're not going to tell you why, which they already do bullcrap like that for no reason. So, yeah. And that's very unfortunate. Like, I mean, being put on the registry and charged with CP at 7 or something, or 10, and you don't even really know what that means, and now you can't get a job over some bull crap. I think that you are spending way too much time thinking about relationships between people your age and senior citizens, and I think that you're overreacting by continuing to argue with these people and post about it instead of just blocking them all and never speaking to them again. It's not your fault that you're overreacting. You've been surrounded by people who've been trafficked your whole entire life, and they're trying to convince you that being trafficked is normal and a healthy relationship is bad. It makes sense that you're obsessed with age gaps because you've been in a system that perpetrates abuse for years and had no access to peers your age who have not been abused or convinced that they are willingly participants. Gerontophiles, as he described above, is not real. They are victims in denial, and nothing you can say will save them. The best thing you can do is get involved with the support group for survivors, and start to have friendships with people your own age and who have never been abused by someone older than them. There are people your age who can have healthy relationships with their peers and not accuse each other of being a pedo when you literally have an age in common. You just haven't met them yet because you've been trapped in a human trafficking ring where they try to convince you that your normal ideas about relationships are wrong. Funny enough though, like a lot of the people who say things like this, I mean, they haven't even been in the Cash for Kids system. Some were Cash for Kids system staff. Well, yeah, I guess that's what they're talking about. But I didn't even mention that because I forgot all about that till like just now. But that was when I was 11, so it has nothing to do with the current situation anyways. So like the current people, I mean, they haven't been in the Cash for Kids system. But, I mean, it's still, I don't know. But I will keep saying, though, one of the most annoying things is that they don't stop the cycle. They keep throwing around the pedo term, but they keep getting with pedos. They never stop their own little age gap adventures. But I do think people don't actually realize how, like, this narrative is pushed by a lot of certain people in America. I don't even know if that came out right. Because it's like, I mean, yeah, I had people saying it to me in person, but like I already said, I only recently actually came across different little situations on Reddit of people, like, talking about this. Like, I really honestly had only heard it from these, like, few people I met in person, especially that one lady from Cali. So it's like, I mean, it's really way more common than I even thought it was. Skipping some stuff for time management. It's really hard to grow up and get to a point where you don't see your sexuality as scary after your first experience with it is surrounded with abuse and you're also accused of abuse anytime you're not the victim. When I was a kid, I thought I was evil for being attracted to people my own age because I took the term Chomo too literally. And I couldn't understand that when I got older, I would just be attracted to people close to my current age. The person that is telling you this stuff in person is basically triggering your trauma, and you should stop talking to that person forever. Whatever issue that person has about age is not your problem to solve, and continuing to interact with them is just going to let them verbally abuse you more.